Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher. Thanks for checking out the video, much appreciated. Today we're going to be talking about what it means when a fish bites a lure head first. You know, a lot of times the fish will bite the lure by the tail, sometimes mid-body, sometimes by the head, which is where you want it. And we're going to talk about a little bit why that happens and maybe some things you can do to help them hit that bait by the head to give you a better chance of landing them. So real quick guys, I just wanted to remind you, everybody out there, if you guys are struggling to find some good fishing spots on your lake you fish a lot, please go by and check out Fish the Moment, our lake map breakdowns. I'll put the link in the description of this video. We offer breakdowns of lakes all across the country. It gives you a bunch of good areas to try. You can duplicate them on your own, and if one of the lakes you fish aren't on our website, you can book a virtual lesson with me and we can go over it one-on-one with any lake you want to in the country. So I'll put that link in the description. That's appreciated. Okay guys, if you saw the thumbnail here, you can see the teeth marks on the head of that Megabass Mag Draft. That is what you want in fishing. You want the fish to hit the head of the bait, because most of the time when they hit the head of the bait, there's a better chance that they're going to get some hooks in them, especially on any type of treble hook lure. Now, the problem with that is a lot of times the fish do not hit the bait by the head. A lot of it has to do with their mood and personality. It has to do with some environmental weather factors, a wide range combination you can do that. So here's sort of what I have figured out in fishing. It's like when you're fishing a moving lure, a lot of times, I don't care if it's a topwater lure or crankbait or swim bait or whatever, bass will hit it in a lot of different ways. Sometimes guys, they hit a lure with their mouth shut. They'll come up and just try to kill it and bump it, and you'll never catch them. A lot of times, like if you guys have fished a topwater lure and you see the topwater get blown out of the water and the fish goes in the other direction, they're just coming up and hitting that lure with their mouth shut. So that's one factor. Sometimes, you know, they just grab it by the tail. They're real hesitant. Sometimes they get it by the side of the body and sometimes by the head. Now, usually what happens is if you get a fish to bite the lure head first, you got everything going right. The fish are in a pretty aggressive feeding mode. You've got the right color, you've got the right bait, you've got the right lure profile, you've got the right retrieve. So ideally, if you start noticing head first bites, you're really on the right track. Now, a lot of times what happens is you get head first bites during periods on a lake that are not getting a lot of fishing pressure. Say, for example, during the middle of the week, say there hasn't been very many tournaments on a lake, but as you notice, one of the things you will notice in bass fishing or fishing in general is the more you start getting bites back towards the tail end of your lure, it's usually because of a combination of things. It's a combination of fishing pressure. Fish are getting spooky, they hear a lot of noise, they're hearing more trolling motor noise, they're hearing more big motor noise, and they simply get hesitant. They're not as aggressive. Another factor that leads into that is weather conditions. If you have say a prefrontal condition where you've got high humidity, you've got a southerly wind flow, maybe a cold front's coming on the way, or maybe it's just stable weather conditions, a lot of times you'll have the fish hit the bait closer to the head. But after a front comes through, if you get like a cold front comes through where you have a northerly wind, it bluebirds off, maybe the wind dies down, it gets tougher fishing conditions, you'll notice a lot of times those fish start hitting that lure by the tail. They're just a lot less aggressive with that. So in other words, what we're saying here is there's a combination of factors that you can control and that you can't control. Now, one of the things that you can control, or several of the things that you can control to get them to hit the head of that lure more than the tail, is number one, your color. Your color dictates the aggressiveness that a fish shows you lure a lot of times. So if you're getting a lot of tail bites and not hooking up, try changing your color a little bit. Also with that, change your retrieve. A lot of times, one of the reasons you're not getting many head bites is you're fishing the lure a little bit too slow, and they're having a little bit too much time to look at it. So you can speed your retrieve up, maybe make a stop and go retrieve. And I don't mean like retrieve it super fast, but I'm talking about just speeding it up a little bit. Sometimes that'll get them to hit it a little farther up. And finally, one tip I can give you is I like to paint gills on the heads of my bait. So I usually take some red fingernail polish and I'll draw gills on about any lure that I fish. And sometimes it gives them a focal point, that little bit of red to go for the head more. So Anyway, guys, just a few foundational thoughts on head bites. There's a lot more to it, but that might give you something to think about. So we'll talk later. See you.